Okay, hi y'all, it's the man in the shack. Uh, Turned out that War of the Chosen changed everything. All of the cosmetic mods broke. None of the things that had worked before were there. So, all of the character pool as it is, that I've been doing for more than a year, is it's legacy like everything else. I started importing things when War of the Chosen came out. I gave it a few weeks actually until all the they'd kind of come out with all the cosmetic mods for War of the Chosen, and so we mostly have the things that we had before, but they're different. The way that the character creation works is different. The whole menu system is different, and basically it's all improvements. And like War of the Chosen is great. I mean, that's definitely the version you should be using. However you want it. I think anyway. I was left with, okay, so all of a sudden, all of those guys that I had done, more than 100 guys or whatever, all of that is obsolete as far as I'm concerned, as far as my own play is concerned. And so there's really nothing for it, but I had to kind of not really start over, but revisit pretty much everything. Because some of the pieces that I had done, including some of the ones I had just fixed. I mean, I had just done, Short Fuse and Steeler like a few days before in Grand Slam, like a few days before that thing had gone, and basically that work was for nothing. So I took the lessons that I learned from it and the design decisions I made and applied them again and stuff. But essentially, I've started over. What I've got here and what I wanted to go through real quick was the 13, original guys, the 1982 guys, that are all done now in War of the Chosen-ness. And I guess this is ultimately going to just become a separate mod. I'll do it once I've kind of... I'll release it as a mod once I've kind of redone the list that I have in mind as the list going forward, and all of the stuff that I was going to do in terms of like customizing the classes and stuff, for each guy, would be applied to this one rather than to the legacy version. Just because I'm not going to waste my time with an inferior set of stuff when we've got all these great new toys to play with. Anyway, this is just about the models, though. And so I wanted to kind of run through these same 13 guys that we've been looking at in a new light. And not always, because some of them, for instance, Breaker, I was able to duplicate what I had done. I had to go back and refigure it because it was literally a different mod. But the same choices apply. One of the wonderful, wonderful things that has come along with this recently is that we finally got the size changing mod, so that a Joe can be taller or shorter. And Breaker, I've got him as my shortest guy right now at 48. 50 is the normal, what would be the normal height, and so that's what I'm going to average. Most of the guys are going to probably, most of the guys are going to be 50, 49, 50, 51. 48's kind of a short end. Ultimately, of course, Tunnel Rat is going to be the shortest one of all, and Roadblock is going to be the tallest one of all. Roadblock, I think, is probably going to be about 55, and Tunnel Rat maybe as short as like 46 or something like that. I don't know, maybe even 45. That's pretty short. Anyway, Breaker, I think, can kind of be on the short end of that. That's fine for him. Otherwise, he is pretty much the same design that I had. Although I have been able to, one of the things that I did do is I kind of went back and bit the bullet and said I went back to the million colors. Basically, instead of having just the expanded color palette, it's got one that's an RGB picture or RGB picker that'll go to 1 million, and that is going to allow me to get better results than I have been in terms of getting them to be the colors that I want them to be. Breaker here, I would actually, let me go back and darken him up, because the Breaker's actually a darker green than this. But I've gone with that, for the time being. Now, Clutch. Of course, my whole impetus for changing all of this stuff, that I had done before, was to make Clutch greasy. And so the shirt that I had Clutch on, that I was so happy with, turned out to not be anywhere in the options now. Or rather, there is one, but it's like the color's weird or something, and I can't get it to look. I couldn't get him to look like I did. On the other hand, this was one that this shirt here was one that Torso was one that came out recently, and I love this one because boy does that look like he's been wiping grease all over his thing. So this is now the perfect shirt for Clutch, and we've got these wonderful short sleeve arms as well. They don't quite fit, so it looks like he's wearing a shirt over his shirt, but whatever. That's he can, Clutch can wear a tunic style thing, and it can kind of come over his shoulders. That's really not bothering me very much because I love these sleeves and these arms. And this shirt is, it's got the web gear on it, and the knife and all that, and I'm very, very pleased with that. Flash, I was able to recreate what I had done. Thank goodness, because I was so happy with it. But he's still looking good. Not much to say about him. Front, same way. He's a little bit taller, 51. I want him standing out a little bit as he's the soldier. So I left his look the way he's looking. I think he's already the right color. Grand Slam. The parts that I had chosen for the previous incarnation that I was so happy with turned out to not be here. So I did something similar. I made using the kind of the same criteria. I was able to find an armored. There's this armored chest plate works in the same sort of way that the other one did. Actually, like these arms really look better, so he's in good shape, I think. And I was able to get him a dark gray without really being black, which is cool. Hawk, I was able to recreate his look as well, so he's all good. Same story as before. I really like this design, and I'm happy with it. Rock and Roll. So I threw away my assumptions about him and just started him over. I said, whatever I'm going to do, I'm not going to use that other one that I hated. This is still a big compromise. This is not a great shirt for him, but yeah, it's okay. And it's got, I put these packs on here. There is no gun in the game that really honestly uses bandoliers of bullets. A thing that is going to hold clips works just as well for the machine gunner, and so that's what I've done here. And so this is a BDU shirt, but then it's got, one of the things that they've done, because, wait a minute, that's not torso deck. That is just the torso. That is just like that, sorry. Anyway, there's torso gear, which is something that we get with, see, it seems like there's there's an awful lot of things that could go along with this, and backpacks and stuff like that, and some guys will need that sort of thing. I'm going to leave him plain. The real win with Rock and Roll is the color. The gray was always there because he's like a grayish green. He was like a darker green, the figure. And so what I was going for here is as close as I could get to. I was trying to achieve that green. I can't get his stuff to look the way I want to yet, but if I can get that green, I feel like I got half a win there. So there's the crisscross thing on his back at least. So yeah, that's rock and roll. I'm, still not perfect, but better than it was. Scarlett, thankfully, was able to recreate all of the things that made her, I think, already look good. Short Fuse lost the things that I had done with him, and so I sort of went back again and started over, and did that same, just kind of started from a different place and achieved, I think, a similar result. I actually like this better because this chest plate, this is this really nice blank chest plate that has no decoration on it essentially, and I like that. This makes Short Fuse look very plain, and again I was able to get him this nice color that is sort of a different, different than it was, this lighter thing, but all one uniform color, and I think that looks really good. And you know what? He looks a little dorkier now too, and that's good. That's what I want him to. He should look like that. He should look dorky. Snake Eyes. So I was able to, I kind of. There's not really a totally streamlined thing. So with Snake Eyes, there's been so many, of course, different versions of Snake Eyes, and of course with this visor instead of the ballistics goggles, this puts him firmly at V2 more than V1. This is more reminiscent of the Snake Eyes that came with Timber, and rather than the one that came out in 1982. I have gone with I had to get rid of the sleeves with the shoulder pads. They were driving me nuts. So now he has 2 rolled up sleeves because it is more important for me to show the Arashikage tattoo than it is to have all of that stuff match. So he doesn't have it there. He does have it there. I would be just as happy if this sleeve were all the way rolled down, but that's not a hard compromise to make. And he's just, I decided to give him the stuff and just cover him with grenades. And this is smoke bombs and stuff, but it gives that same sort of bulky look, like he's got a lot of stuff. Like every pocket has a weapon in it, and he can throw something out. One funny thing is he's got a walkie-talkie, which is funny. Of course, he can squelch on it, but yeah. So anyway, there's Snake Eyes, and I'm happy with him. Stalker, I did go back and make a few revisions. I gave him the BDU shirt, and he shouldn't have been wearing gloves, but he was. And this scarf is a last addition to it. It did. I actually just changed that here a little bit ago, right before I did this, realizing that I didn't like having this shirt kind of open like that. I wanted him to feel more kind of buttoned up here, and so adding this scarf in, I think really does that trick. And Stalker's got these nice clean lines now, and he looks great. My favorite guy, I want him to look perfect. Steeler is the biggest guy I've got in here. I put him at 54. I'm going to put Roadblock at 55. I want Steeler to be just a skosh smaller than Roadblock. That's something that they don't usually mention about, or that's not usually thought about with Steeler, but he's a big guy. I think it's even better because he's big, but he's hunched over because he's got the hard luck attitude. So again, as with Grand Slam and Short Fuse, the carefully chosen, awesome, tanky Steeler armor that I had found in the Legacy version wasn't ported over, or at least hasn't been yet. And I'm not going to count on it, at least for purposes of this. And so I went back and I found kind of, using again the same criteria. I want him armored. I want him to feel like a tank. I gave him the coloration. This is a much better coloration on him. This nice, sort of dingy drab for and then the alternate green. He doesn't have that cool backpack with the thing sticking up out of it, but he's still got his helmet. He's got the helmet that I like on him, and that's the most important thing. So and I can actually make him big now instead of just being, instead of just trying to make him look bulky so he looks big. He's actually big. And finally, Zap. I went back and did some work on him. After messing around with it a lot, I decided to go ahead and go with this torso anyway. He's like the only guy now who has this, so I don't feel bad about it anymore. Before, it was really bothering me because a ton of dudes had this same thing. But he's got it. I want him to have this kind of body armor type of thing. These nice padded elbows and knees from this other set. Those work really well, and they take the stench off of what I thought this character had, because there was no, just because it was so first gen, it was so bland, and using the pieces that came with the game, and I wanted to change that up. I didn't like having all the pads all over his arms and stuff. This Zap is not very armored. I'm happy to give him a bulletproof vest and stuff like this, but I wanted his arms and legs a lot more clean than they were, and now they are. And the helmet, of course, was always perfect. So that's my 13. I'm feeling great about him. I am not going to release this yet because I'm going to go back and I'm going to go year by year, and actually I'm not going to fill in all the Cobras and stuff. I'll probably release this thing once I've got my full roster of Joes, which goes up through 89 or 90, something like that. I've got a few selected guys from the late period, but everybody up through say 88 anyway. Yeah, so that's the first 13. I'll do another one of these after I do 1983. That's something like, I think that's like 10 guys. Yeah, that's it for now though.